101 Jams, you're inside the Power Hour. I'm your host, DJ Larry Jones, a.k.a. Mr. Important. If you don't know me, then you don't know anybody. And I have a special guest. You know what? I don't really like saying special guest for everyone. This guest I have on the phone is a VIP guest, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I have the legendary songstress, the lovely and very talented Miss Regina Belle. Regina, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. First off, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us today. You know, I know you're probably busy over there.
I'm glad to be here. No, I'm glad to be here. It's always wonderful to be asked. Hello, somebody.
I know, right? Now, how you been doing during these crazy times in all of our lives right now with all this COVID-19 stuff going on, police brutality? How are you doing? How are you holding up?
Larry, I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a little difficult. You know, I'm used to being on the road. I'm used to traveling. I'm used to, kind of going from city to city, seeing the sights, being able to appreciate different things from different cities as well as the cultures and the different people.
Right.
So I do miss it. I do thank God that I do have a place to lay my head. So I'm not complaining.
Right.
I'm glad that I was home, especially for the fact in March I lost my dad. So I had an opportunity to be home. Yeah, I thank you. I had an opportunity to be home with them, and so on. I'm even home now to help care for my 82-year-old mother. So it's been a wonderful chance to spend time and to be able to spend the last hours with my dad and to be able to nurture my mother and allow her to understand that everything's going to be okay, that, baby girl going to do everything she can to make sure she's all right. So I think having that blessed assurance to be home for them is a wonderful thing. But I think also sometimes I have a little bit of depression, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the fact of losing my father, who's a big staple in my life, just a lot of, the COVID, a lot of the people that I know that have experienced it and seeing the anxiety in their faces and hearing it in their voices, talking to them, and then all of the racial injustices that we've had to, honestly, it's been something that's been ongoing. I am really, really amazed at how the world has kind of answered the call, to see people protesting in Europe and to see people protesting in Africa. And, it takes me back to apartheid and how we kind of unified that things would change there. So I'm happy to see that you have not just black people, but you have white people, you have Asian people, you have Hispanic people, all standing up for this.
Coming together, right?
Yeah, coming together. But I would be lying and I would be remiss if I didn't say that, I still worry about my 27-year-old son.
Yeah.
I still, and it makes me anxious. Yeah. When I don't know where he is. I mean, I'm just being real with you. There's a little bit of anxiety that I kind of carry with me, almost like holding your breath for what's going to happen next.
Yeah, because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, with these police out here, I mean, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
And even with that, I have police officers in my family. Cousins, very close people to me in my life. And I know them to be good people.
Right.
So alongside of the bad cops, I'm praying covering over, my sisters and brothers who are out here trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So it's a very volatile time. And I really, it's something, if you're a believer, this time right here will keep you on your knees.
It definitely will. Now, how do you feel about how have you been quarantining? I mean, because you sound like you've been taking care of your mom and stuff like that. Have you been practicing that safe quarantine whole thing with the family and everything? You
would think my mama was Queen Candace from Ethiopia. My mama, when somebody talking about, well, let me drop by. No, you ain't going to just drop by my house. No, ma'am, no, sir. No, I need to know, what's up. Why do you think it's important enough for you to come here?
Right.
And if you're dropping something off, leave it by the garage or leave it by the front door. But I don't play them games.
I know that's right. Right.
When God gets ready to take my mama or me or anybody, but I'm not trying to help him.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not trying to help him do his job. He can do that all by himself.
I know.
So everything I can do to keep her safe, I've been doing that. So yes, I've definitely been quarantined, and I definitely have been practicing social distancing. We started having church services. My husband, our pastor, and so we've been having church services, but we have them outside,
okay.
And we space the cars because we have a really big parking lot. So we space the cars, and we do it outside. And even with the choir, we've diminished that to from the 25, almost 30 members to down to, 5 members, to just kind of, and so we can socially distance and practice, the safety that we need to practice. But, overall, people, some people can worship from home and do what they need to do, but some people need to be able to kind of be on the space. They need to be on the ground. So we try to handle it from all aspects, and Facebook Live, and even a conference call that you can call in and hear the service. And we try to. So it's a lot going on amidst my being quarantined.
Right. I don't think people are taking it serious as they should. I mean, I've seen on social media where people are having COVID-19 parties. One group was having.
I don't even understand that.
I don't get that. Yeah, one group was actually having a party to see who catches it first. How stupid is that? Really stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, talk to me a little.
I saw that on television where they had one COVID party, and a young man brought it home to his parents.
Wow.
His younger siblings got it, and his father's on life support.
Wow. All because of his stupidity. How crazy is that?
Insane.
Yeah. Now tell me a little bit about this. I never knew you had a song out called Freedom. I heard it for the first time the other day, and it's so heavy. It's deep. You know what I mean? What inspired that song? Well, it's been out for a year already, right?
Yeah. Okay. I was a history major in college.
Okay.
And one of the things I learned that helped me concerning just self-love. Because like I said, this whole thing of what we've seen in racial injustice, this is not new.
No, it's not.
It's not new. So we've been experiencing this. I know I have experienced it in one shape, form, or fashion all my life.
Right.
So I guess I want to say maybe 9 years ago now, I was just, just kind of looking at the news and just all of the things that was, going on. And I just was so, it was a heavy time. And I was asked by this museum to put a song together for a grant that they wanted to get to bring me down, because initially they wanted me to come down, and he was like, the first thing he said was, we don't have any money. And I'm like, I could give you the first cousin I love you rate, but I can't pay to come do the gig, bro.
Right.
We don't work like that. And so, I was so elated with this young man because he went and found a grant that, and they got all kind of grants out there. The Bible says our people perish for a lack of knowledge. Well, he did the homework and the research and got out there and found a grant that, if basically what it came down to, I needed to write a song that would reflect his establishment. So he was opening up a new African American museum, and so he needed a song. So I wrote the song, he got the grant, and I came in and sang at the museum. And so the song had been kind of sitting in the shed for a little while, and then all of the crazy that we started seeing with Trayvon Martin and I forget the brother in New York.
I know.
Then the young man whose father was a former baseball player who got shot in front of his own house.
Yes.
because he was going home while black. So, it was a number of things that was going on. I think the young man in New York was Mike Brown, I think.
Right.
And
Mike
then
Brown.
the young man in California, I forget his name, but I know his father was a famous baseball player, and he was coming up to walk in his father's shoes, and he got shot in the front of his home. And there's still been no reprieve for that. So, I told a friend of mine, my partner in songwriting, I said, Chris Walker, I said, hey, I really want to get this song out. We need to, the song we wrote like 8 years ago, we need to go ahead and put it out. So, we went in the shed and went in the studio, and I used my own money and said, bam, here it is.
Yeah, I love the song.
And basically the song, thank you so much. Basically the song is talking about how, our ancestors paid all kinds of remarkable dues, sacrificed so many things, for us to have these opportunities that we have now, but the work is not finished, so, and the end of all ends is that every race of people, every culture of people, every walk of life deserves the freedom to live life and not based on your skin color.
Right. Now, do you think
everybody deserves that? So that's what the song is saying.
Do you think our young people will actually get it? Now, I'm not saying all young people, but for those who are still out there committing this black on black crime, how do we reach them? You know what I mean? And get them to understand what our ancestors went through for them to be where they are today.
The problem is how can I say it? Is many layers. Right. It has many layers. It's not in one place. A minute ago, we stopped raising our kids from a communal standpoint. You used to be held accountable not just by your parents.
Right.
But when I was coming along, you better not act crazy while your mother and father was at work.
Yeah.
Because, for me, if Miss Street told my mother that I was acting a fool, then guess what? When I got home, I got a beating, not just because Miss Street, not just because I was acting up, but because I had embarrassed her and somebody had to call me on it.
Uh-huh.
The teachers were concerned and made us straighten up and fly right. And it actually meant something for them to say to you, I know you don't want me to call your mama or your daddy to come here off their job. That
right.
meant something to, when I was growing up as a black child. No.
Forget about it. Yeah.
My mother let it be known, if I got to leave my job where I'm trying to make money to raise your behind, and you ain't
you out there acting
no,
a fool.
I'm about to catch it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My mother said, wherever you act crazy, that's where I'm gonna act crazy. So I think that's a piece of it. I think I think that our families have become so dysfunctional and so much more a part of the world as opposed to kind of taking in some of the characteristics in which we were raised. Like I said, right. Communities raised us. It wasn't just the mother.
Right. Yeah, like I said, you did something wrong.
What I'm saying?
In that community.
And now a lot of us don't have two parent homes. And it's not just the mothers raising their kids, it's also the fathers without the mothers raising their kids.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, problematic. I think there are a lot more younger people raising kids.
I was going to say that.
They're not having what am I trying to say?
They don't really have
they don't have big
knowledge.
Mama and Papa in them to pull them to pull their coattail and say, hey, baby girl, you might want to do this.
Uh-huh.
Or, hey, you might need to do this. In other words, we're not allowing the village to take their part to help out in the places that we don't understand and how to raise kids. With the educational system is not what it once was.
Right.
Because we have a travesty in that our teachers are the lowest paid on the totem pole, and they are, to me, they're the frontline workers of our children being educated, So at the end of the day, you leave your child with them for 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that mean something to in politics, our Congress. I mean, doesn't that mean something? This is where the new president, this is where the new Congress people, this is where our doctors are coming from. This is where, I mean, crime, everything, all of it's going to emanate from these institutions.
Exactly.
So it would behoove us to, make sure that we honor those teachers and honor those people who are, caring for our children, and not just from an educational standpoint, but all of the baggage that our children are carrying from home, they're carrying it into school.
Right.
So the teacher has to teach them through all of that.
Exactly. And the teachers have such a hard job these days. I mean, oh my goodness.
Yes.
And they don't even get paid that
like
much.
Like I said, that calling home and saying, I'm going to call your parents, that doesn't have the same,
no.
fortitude that it once had.
9 times out of 10, the parents not even there anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's the sad part.
Exactly. That's what. So my daughter, I have 2 daughters that teach, and I have a niece that teaches, and a nephew. And one of their complaints is that if they could get the parents to help with just some minor things, and I'm not saying all parents are, lackadaisical, but, we have enough parents that are, and it's causing problems in our communities because, these children are cohabitating with the children whose parents are putting in the time and who are working to try to ensure a better future for their children. So it's like,
yeah.
it comes from so many areas when you're dealing with black on black crime. You're dealing with also too some of us that still the inability to love ourselves.
Right.
History did a lot for me.
Right.
And reshaping my mind on how I feel about myself.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. And how much do you think today's music, how much part of that is being played, with what's going on with these kids today? Do you think music today is playing a big part in these kids' lives and decisions right now?
Music always plays a part, because guess what? It is a very strong ministry. It can a song, just hearing a song can take you back to a place.
Exactly.
And if it was something that was traumatic, it can make you feel like it just happened just a few moments ago. It'll make you cry. It'll make you smile. Music, I don't know that all musicians and all songwriters and all singers and all lyricists, all rappers, all musicians, producers, I don't know that we all really, really understand the power that music has.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's most powerful. And, but music is also a reflection of society and where it stands in its current state. So when you hear some of the music that you find alarming, well, all you need to do is look around and see what's going on, because that music is definitely dictating what is happening right now. If the song can't be a hit, if somebody didn't think about it other than the person singing it.
I had a topic I'd done a while back, and I would love to have you back on and finish talking about this. And it was called "If You Can Change Your Thinking, You Can Change Your Life." And I would love to revisit that and get some of our young people to really pay attention to what's going on around them, because if they're not careful, they can be Mike Brown. They can be, the next victim and die by the hands of a dirty police officer. So I really want to revisit that.
That is a travesty still.
Yes.
It's not that I don't think that, but here's the deal. Lou Rawls told us in Raising Money, when he said a mind is a terrible thing to waste. It starts in your thinking.
Yep.
Before we even get to the Mike Browns. There's a lot of our young people that are dying, and they're walking around every day. They are zombified.
Yes.
Because life evolves around Twitter, life evolves around Snapchat, life evolves around Instagram, and so on, et cetera, and so forth. And so at the end of the day, where I think we are failing in terms of our communities, in terms of some of our churches, in terms of our villages, we're failing in putting the right things in our young people's minds and putting the right things for them to be thinking about.
Yeah, because
we're not inspiring enough. We're not encouraging enough. We're not cheerleading enough to make our young people believe you really can be anything you want to be.
Anything you want to be.
Look at the history of the people you come from.
Yes.
Look at where you emanate from. Look at who your ancestors were. By right, you have the opportunity to do the exact same thing.
I can talk to you about this all night long. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I would love to have you back on again. I mean, I can just stay on this topic forever. You know what I mean? In hopes that it will reach somebody. And if I can get one person to change their thinking, you know what I mean, and then in turn change their life.
Yeah, well, that's the beginning.
That's the beginning.
That's the beginning.
That's the beginning.
Yeah,
that's my goal. That's what I want to do.
You know, we look at people like Congressman John Lewis and all that, you know, he's done, all the people
he was
inspired.
An amazing man. You guys were connected somehow.
That he was just, look, he was connected to a lot of people.
Right.
He made sure when Congressman entered the room, you could feel his presence, and not just because of what he did, but just he was just charismatic. He was electric. It was something on the inside that showed up on the outside, as the old folks would say.
Right.
And you know, then you add on top of that all of his mighty and courageous acts and all of the things that he was able to do. And I thank God that before he left here, he had an opportunity to see our young people stand up, to see, you know, the middle-aged stand up, to see the seasoned saints stand up for the very things that he fought for so many years ago. So I'm grateful that on the closing of his eyes, he understands that the fight is still here, but somebody is taking a baton and you know, carrying on the good work that needs to be done.
Right, because black people, the young generation, they're just not having it. You know what I mean? They're just not going to get out there and march. They're tired. They're tired of it. And, you know, but one thing I can say, Regina, is that things are changing to a certain extent as far as the flag coming down, Confederate flag coming down. Things are changing. So I guess what we're doing is kind of working. Now, how much will it change? It remains to be seen.
Well, it depends on us.
Depends on us.
How much are you going to push?
Right.
How much are you going to, you know, and I'm sorry to say this, you know, I have some people in my family who, you know, we kind of been conversing about this. And one of the things that they're saying is that, you know, they hate to see all of the, you know, the rioting and all of that. And while I hate to see, you know, establishments burning down and people losing jobs, the fact of the matter is that peace has never come peaceably.
Right.
It's always come through some kind of volatile situation, be it rioting, be it, you know, police brutality, be it, you know, the state not taking the proper precautions to protect the people. So stuff got out of hand. People who can't see eye to eye begin to clash, and until the spotlight is brought in on this and people understand this has to change, you know, it's time to stop talking about it and developing all these different no, you need to change. Right. You can't. I understand that I don't want to get rid of the police force because something happened. I still want to be able to dial 911 if somebody come, you know, but at the same time, you do need to go back in the police force and start looking at, you know, the files on some of these officers that you have that are not sensitive to the communities in which they police.
Exactly.
Back in the day, I knew all of the police officers that were in our community.
Exactly.
And we were not afraid of them.
Right.
We were not afraid of them.
And they knew all of the kids by name.
We respected them. And they knew our parents.
Exactly.
They were like the community leader.
But
so
now,
unless we get an understanding, you know, you gotta tell police officers, hey, I can't be afraid of you because, you know, I have the right to ask you to protect me, but I don't trust you to protect me. That doesn't work. You got to get to know who I am. You got to get to know who my brothers and sisters are. You got to get to know how this community operates.
What are your thoughts on Donald?
Who's not in school?
What are your thoughts on Donald Trump?
Next question. Next question.
I think he needs to be out of here.
You know, I'm honestly, I just next question. Sorry.
We're running out of time though. It's all right.
Good. Good. We're running out of time.
I know, right on that question, too. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Regina Belle, the lovely Miss Regina Belle. Regina, I thank you so much for joining me today. You have no idea how much that means to me. I'm a huge fan of yours, always have been. And,
Thank you.
What's next for you? What's next? What do you have planned next?
Well, with this COVID season and era that we're experiencing right now, it has moved us, those of us that want to exist. It has moved us to be creative in how we do our jobs. So, virtually, I've been doing concerts. I have been in Zoom interviews and calls, and still been able to reach out and touch people. I thank God for technology, because that has been a major asset in still being able to keep in touch with people.
Right.
So Facebook and Facebook Live, Instagram, and some of the other social media platforms have been some of the various ways that we've been able as artists to still reach our fans. And I'm so grateful to that. I'm grateful to all of you fans who've been hanging in there with us, playing our music still. I guess in the future, I'm looking to do more music, stretch out and maybe do some movies. I had an opportunity to do a cameo movie. Well, I guess I couldn't call it cameo because it wasn't my first movie, but it's with a book that was portrayed by on film. The book was by a friend of mine, Beverly Jenkins, who does these historical love stories, but she always bases it in real history. So it might be a story about a Black woman doctor, but she will have studied under the true first Black woman doctor.
Right.
So, it's that kind of thing. So I've had an opportunity to get my feet wet in that area. So I would love to kind of stretch out and maybe do, some parts here and there. But I'm always doing more music because that's what I do.
Oh yeah. And you're definitely beautiful at it. I still listen to your stuff. I still listen to it.
Thank you. And thank you for recognizing freedom. That means the world to me.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
I'm actually going to put that on my social media pages, the song itself, and just I'm
thank
gonna do
you.
It. Yes, absolutely. And I thank you once again for calling us today and checking in with us. All right.
Always. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day. And to the fans, I love y'all. Stay tuned, because even though I might not be coming to a city near you physically, I might be coming to a city near you.
Miss Regina Belle, keep it locked in right here. It's the Power Hour, 101.3 Jams.